The good, the bad, and the ugly, this episode has it all, including Tesla on Tesla smashes, driver dashes, and teenager crashes. Buckle up for
Wham Bam Teslacam. I hope you're satisfied.
David was driving his brand new Model Y in Franklin, Tennessee, when a 17-year-old driver pulled out in front of him. David had no way to stop and T-boned the side of the Ford Explorer. The occupants of both vehicles immediately got out while other drivers slowed down to make sure they were okay. David and the other driver both indicated that they were unhurt. The police and firefighters responded to the scene of the collision and both cars were towed away. The other driver was quickly found responsible for the collision. He'd pulled out without yielding and he'd even attempted to make an illegal turn. David had bought the car for $58,000 with full self-driving included. He'd just gotten the windows tinted and had literally just made the first monthly loan payment. The initial repair estimate came to $19,000, but David fears his car will be totaled. Robert was driving home at 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning in Los Angeles when he stopped to wait patiently at a red light. When the light turned green, he checked both ways, ensuring traffic was clear before making his way across the intersection. Suddenly, the front of his Tesla was struck on the right side by a Model Y driver who'd run their red light. Robert called 911, but the LAPD told him they wouldn't generate a report unless there were severe injuries. Robert told them that he was indeed hurt and he was very sure the other driver was intoxicated. Even then, it took the police a long time to respond. In the meantime, Robert got the other driver's insurance information, but then something unbelievable happened. Seconds before the police arrived, another car pulled up, and the driver of the Tesla jumped into it before it sped away. Officers then told Robert they wouldn't take any action against the other driver since they couldn't get a statement from him, as he wasn't there when they'd arrived. Is it just us, or does that make no sense at all? The guy crashed his Tesla into another Tesla, then abandoned his car at the scene. And he's completely off the hook for everything? I guess the incredible amount of video footage documenting the entire incident doesn't make any difference. Dana was driving her brand new Model Y down Portland Avenue in Tacoma, Washington. The driver in front of her came to a stop to wait for traffic so she could make a left turn. Dana came to a stop as well, but a BMW driver rear-ended her Tesla. Dana had just enough time to get her foot on the brake when she saw in her rearview mirror that the BMW was going too fast and wasn't going to be able to stop. Dana had hoped to avoid getting pushed into the car in front of her, but the BMW managed to crash into her hard enough to push her Tesla into the Mazda 3's rear bumper cover. Thankfully, the damage was minimal. Dana called the police to report the collision, then got out to check on the other involved drivers. When the police officer arrived, he cited the BMW driver after finding her responsible for the collision. Nobody was hurt, and both the Mazda driver and Dana were able to drive away. The BMW left on a tow truck, and Dana is guessing it's totaled based on the damage to the front end. Big Jerry passed a rental truck towing a trailer, and the driver had forgotten to tie up the excess tow straps holding down a cargo box. The straps flapped around before wrapping around one of the trailer's wheels, locking it up while he drove along on his cell phone completely oblivious. Big Jerry's wife JoJo gave him the play-by-play as they drove by so Big Jerry could pay attention to the road. The rental driver kept going for a mile or so before noticing the smoke and finally pulling over. Time to strap in, not for a collision this time, but for some extreme road rage. A Kia driver became infuriated over a maneuver by a Tesla's full self-driving. Let's back up and find out how this all started. While Aaron was using FSD in his one-day-old Tesla, he encountered an interesting intersection where FSD struggled to figure out what to do. The Kia driver was clearly not paying attention and was very unhappy about the fact that the Tesla had stopped in a lane with a green turn light. The Kia driver locked up his brakes, barely managing to stop without rear-ending Aaron's Tesla. That's when Aaron took over control and proceeded through the intersection. That should have been the end of the interaction, right? Not for the Kia driver, it seems. He blamed Aaron for his own lack of awareness, and he was going to make sure Aaron knew how upset he was. He sped up and passed Aaron, then got in front of him and brake checked him before coming to a complete stop and getting out of his car. Aaron hit the juice pedal and used his new Tesla's instant torque to drive around the Kia and speed away, assuming the Kia driver wouldn't try to catch up. Not long after, he spotted the Kia's high beams flashing in his rearview mirror. The Kia driver was back and up to no good, so Aaron went ahead and got on the phone with 911. At one point, the Kia driver pulled up next to him. Aaron could see that the guy was screaming, but he had his window up and couldn't tell what was being said. He wasn't about to put his window down either, since they were now driving on the highway. This only enraged the Kia driver further, and he once again brake-checked Aaron to a complete stop. Aaron repeated his proven strategy of driving around the Kia and hitting the juice pedal. He then turned onto a smaller road, but the Kia driver continued to follow him. Meanwhile, the police told Aaron to keep going. When he eventually approached a red light, the Kia driver pulled up next to him and got out of his car, and Aaron could see he was holding something in his hand. He couldn't tell what it was, but he didn't care to find out. He floored the accelerator through the red light, and this time he didn't let off the pedal until he saw the Kia driver turn down a different road. The police told Aaron they wouldn't do anything since the vehicle was registered in Florida to someone other than whoever had been driving it. Zwei was driving toward an intersection where traffic from the left doesn't have a stop sign. Suddenly, the driver of a silver Hyundai failed to yield and pulled out in front of a white Nissan pickup truck. The pickup hit the Hyundai's fender before they both careened into a black Chevy that had been waiting at the stop sign. Zwei stopped and rushed over to help the victims, making sure they were all okay before calling 911 to get police to the incident ASAP. When the police asked Zwei for a witness statement, he also offered his Teslacam footage for their investigation. He also got the victims' contact information so he could send them the footage for their insurance claims. We need to stop and point out how perfectly Zwei handled this situation. He stopped to help, blocking the road with his vehicle to prevent any additional collisions. He then checked on the victims, called 911, and stuck around to provide a statement before giving his footage to the cops and to the victims. Great job! Zwei handled the whole situation by the book in perhaps the best example of what to do after witnessing a collision that we've ever featured on Wham Baam Teslacam. Our hats are off to you. And speaking of hats, a Wham Baam hat is headed your way. This video is sponsored by MagBak, a brand we love not only because their products protect your Tesla, they enhance the entire Tesla experience. You already know about Rimcase, their revolutionary product for protecting Tesla wheels from curb rash. But did you know they also make these awesome phone mounts for all Tesla models, including the S, the 3, the X, the Y, and the Cybertruck? These awesome phone mounts hold your phone in the perfect position and angle while you drive and can charge your phone at twice the speed. They're perfect for making video calls or using phone navigation apps while you drive. Of course, the Rimcase is still our favorite MagBak product. Rimcase is a DIY product that protects your Tesla's wheels from unnecessary damage and can even hide some existing damage. If a piece gets damaged by scraping a curb, you can just swap it out and keep rolling. Check out the link in the description to get your own phone mount or Rimcase, and you'll get 15% off when you use this exclusive coupon code just for Wham Bam fans. Thanks to MagBak for supporting the channel. Tyler was driving his Model 3 in Surrey, British Columbia, when he approached a dump truck driven by a city worker who'd stopped and lit up the warning lights on his truck. Tyler was in for a surprise. Okay, we don't know what that was all about. Tyler thinks the city worker was showing his Halloween spirit, but who can know for sure? That wasn't the only story of sorcery we had to show you this week. This one comes from Jason, who parked his Cybertruck in Morro Bay, California. When he returned to his truck, he noticed he had a Sentry mode event. He didn't expect to see a witch come up to the back of his truck and inscribe a spell on it. Jason went to see what she'd written, and the writing said, "F you." I guess she wasn't a good witch then. While the overall level of Tesla hatred has certainly gone down in recent years, Cybertruck hate is at an all-time high. We already showed this next video on Wham Baam Dashcam, but it's so crazy we had to show it here too. Hold on tight because this will get your blood boiling. This emitter was driving home from work when he found himself in traffic behind a Tesla Model X, and he had no idea it was about to be today's Tesla behaving badly.
That Tesla man can't drive.
In retrospect, the existing damage to the rear hatch should have been a red flag. Our submitter said the Model X driver tried to blame him for the collision, even saying he'd been speeding and driving recklessly before rear-ending him. Between our submitter's dashcam footage and the witness statement of the pickup driver in the other lane, the Tesla driver's claims were easy to disprove. Only after calling the police would the Tesla driver give him his information. Even then, the insurance info he provided ended up being fake. This Model X driver may be the worst behaved Tesla driver we've ever featured. Good job, buddy. At least you're the best at something. Don't forget to subscribe to our sister channel, Wham Baam Dashcam, to see more dashcam content like this. Amanda was backing out of a spot at a busy beach parking lot. Another driver was waiting to take her spot, and a line of traffic started to form behind them. Just as she was backing out, a scooter rider didn't want to wait, passed the line of cars on the right, and zoomed behind her. Thankfully, she spotted him in the backup camera and hit the brakes, but sadly for the rider, he'd just flown past a police SUV. The police car immediately took off after the rider and pulled him over. Amanda told us it was pretty funny watching the rider try to explain why he felt like he didn't have to wait in line. The officer gestured toward Amanda's Tesla as if to ask if he'd seen the car leaving the parking space. Amanda just waved and laughed as she continued. Traffic in the right lane came to a stop before the driver of a Ford Escape rear-ended a blue Hyundai, causing a chain reaction. The Hyundai rear-ended a Ford Explorer, then pushed it forward when the Hyundai's accelerator became stuck. Shane stopped and provided assistance. The driver of the Hyundai was in shock, so Shane stayed with her until paramedics arrived. The Escape driver who'd caused the collision didn't have his driver's license with him and seemed eager to leave the scene. Shane reminded him that the event had been captured on camera as the driver of the Explorer took a picture of him with her cell phone. In the end, he decided to stay until the police arrived. Nobody was hurt, and Shane shared his Teslacam footage with everyone involved. Brace for a Honda bump. Colin became the victim of a vicious Honda attack. Colin was giving his parents a drive when they felt a bump from behind. At first, the guy who'd hit them was acting kind of strange, almost as if Colin had done something wrong. When Colin told him he'd captured video of the collision, he asked to see it, so Colin began the process of retrieving the footage. That's when Colin's father stepped in, telling the Honda driver that he didn't need to see the footage and that they needed to see his insurance information. Eventually, he complied. Later, as they examined the damage, they noticed the words Honda World and Orange County had become indented into the bumper cover, almost like a Honda bump tattoo. This next video is also a Honda bump, sort of. Griffin had been heading home after a cookout at a friend's house. He was waiting to make a left turn when the driver of a Honda CR-V ran a red light, smashing into an oncoming Ford Fusion. Griffin told us the Tesla handled the collision well and he barely felt the impact from inside the cabin, which was very surprising once he saw how much damage his Tesla had sustained. Police responded to the scene. Thankfully, nobody was injured. Griffin is still waiting for a repair estimate, but he'll have to wait around 3 weeks just to get his Tesla into the collision center. Before this next video, which is pretty upsetting, we need to remind you that all suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Samir parked his Model 3 in a gym parking lot, which happens to be shared by a car wash. When Samir came back to his car, he noticed it was sitting lopsided. Upon further inspection, he discovered both passenger side tires were flat. Samir assumed he'd run over something. The attendant working at the car wash came to his aid and helped him inflate his tires so he could at least make it to a repair shop. Samir thanked him and even offered to buy him a coffee. When he got into his car to drive away, he discovered he had a Sentry mode alert. When he played the video, he saw the same car wash attendant who had just helped him. The car wash attendant had deliberately punctured the two tires with a knife. When Samir confronted the vandal, he told Samir he shouldn't have parked in that spot. Among other things, Samir told him, "I've got you, my Tesla recorded you." At this, the attendant appeared shocked. Samir called the police and provided them with the video evidence of the vandalism. They said they'd never seen anything like this. Samir was paid $1,500 for 2 new tires, and the attendant was served a caution notice, whatever that is. Australian fans, help us out in the comments. Samir wanted to shout out his kids, Sabine and Lewis, who made sure he sent us this video. While Jake was attending a Kate Nash concert in Seattle, a group of 3 men went on a smash and grab spree in the lot where he'd parked his Tesla. Sentry mode was triggered when the suspects arrived in a Mercedes and pulled up next to Jake's Model 3. Thankfully, they weren't able to make it through the Tesla's double-pane glass even after 3 attempts. The other cars nearby weren't so resistant. Jake will be filing a damage claim with his insurance provider, and he provided this video to the police as evidence. Well, that wraps up another episode. We saw the good, the bad, and the ugly, but that wasn't even the craziest smash and grab we featured. Go watch this video next if you want to see one that's even more shocking.